eCrit series powered by KISS and Zwift Community Live. My name is Jesper Anker, and I'm joined by retired pro racer and now turned coach, Tour de France finisher, Mr. Wesley Salzberger. How you doing, Wes?
I'm good, Jasper. How are you, mate? You've had a pretty big week, haven't you? You've had a big week on the bike.
I skipped out on last week's eCrit. That's why you had Nathan Guerra here, but I caught up with the finish, and it looked quite good all the way to the finish with Luke Ockerby and Pat Shaw up there in the mix. But yeah, I may have climbed a mountain or two, but that's not what the eCrit series is about. The eCrit series is about raw power when it comes down to a fast finish. What I did was just plain torture. But Wes, if you're watching over on Zwift Facebook page, and this is the first time you're tuning in to the Australian eCrit series powered by KISS, what exactly is happening here on screen?
Well, we have some racing in their garages, in their lounge room, set up, thrashing it out on their bike, on their smart trainer. So all of these races are rocking up each week, and we are getting new members come along as well to test themselves in amongst this series. So the series will run right through to the 19th of September, and it'll be the day before the World Championships. It'll be hosted in, and the location's yet to be confirmed, but it's going to be a real showdown. So all of these riders are racing really hard to try and get points in this series. And we have Dunn out in front, I think, on 180-something points. So he's got quite a lead on everyone at the moment. And then it sort of goes back into the 120 mark, I think, at Vegan Porsche, who I think is also on holiday, Jasper, you said.
He is. Anthony Vegan Porsche sent me a little text message earlier, be like, I'm on holiday, Jasper. I can't be bothered. I'm going to jump on the kicker anyway and do it. That's the spirit of the eCrit. Even when you're on holiday, you make sure to take your trainer in the back car, and then you just give it all. You've got to do it. It's about consistency over pretty much 6 months of e-racing right here on Zwift. And Vegan Porsche has that second place to defend because not only does he want to go to Melbourne, he wants to see Wes and I in person again. We met him at Melbourne at Rafa earlier this year. They're going again. I believe we're going again this year later on for the live racing finale, which will be so cool. I love Australia. The riding in Melbourne and Sydney with RCC members was great. New Zealand, let's not forget them, as we got O. Jones in the front. We raced up some of the climbs around us in New Zealand and Auckland. Also very awesome. We got Drew Gin out there, who's got that little verification tick right next to his name. Wes, who is Drew Gin?
Drew Gin is he's actually a ex-professional rower. So he's been all around to the top of his sport, and he is a talented athlete. And we saw that a couple of weeks back when he raced. He was just absolutely hitting some chain in the peloton. I think he had some sort of trouble with his bike or something mechanical. Actually got lapped, but then got back in there and just started tearing the legs off everyone. He's certainly one that you wouldn't want to let get away here because he is mighty strong.
Rumor has it he was stuck in the 53.11 last week, and that's why he was lapped at the end. He couldn't pull a Roberto Aran at the finish line. But Drew Gin, to call him a talented racer is quite an understatement. This guy is legendary on a bike. Not only at rowing out of the water, when we put him on land and on two wheels, Drew Gin is a machine, and he's going to be one of the riders to look out for today, as several riders pleaded with Drew Gin and Pat Shaw at the start line to not be as aggressive as they usually are, because the sprinters, you know, the Mark Cavendishes, the Marcel Kittles of the peloton, they don't really like to change their pace. They want to keep it consistent and then explode at the end. But when you have let's call them jesters. Let's call them guys that threw a spanner in the works. Drew Gin and Pat Shaw. It can be quite difficult for your Luke Ockerbys and Aaron Dunns. But mentioning Pat Shaw, I know you're quite close with Pat. Ex-pro racer who's been tearing up in the eCrit series lately. What's Pat Shaw's background in cycling?
So Pat Shaw's, I've raced with Pat back in 2005 and 6 when I was racing the NRS, the National Roads. Pat was very dominant there, and he went away and did a bit of a stint after that in Italy and in France. And then he come back after that and tore up the NRS series and took out the overall National Road series. So Pat has certainly he's got a very good wealth of experience and really good at mentoring and helping the younger riders in that anti-ISOA team. So he's still involved with them now, even though he's retired. He still keeps his foot definitely his toes in the water with all of the team at ISOA. And we actually had a Zwift party at his
You had a Zwift party?
local bike shop. Pat Shaw had a Zwift party, yeah. So on Saturday night, I think it was last Saturday night, he had a Zwift party at the Shore Cycling Centre in Ballarat. And yeah, everyone got together and they had a bit of a shindig with the kickers and with the lift. I think everyone had I'm not sure if they did the wall like we did in Melbourne, but yeah, there was some sort of thing that he had organised there. So it was pretty cool that he's getting people involved in this cool that we call Zwift.
My invitation must have been lost in the mail, but that sounds really cool. A Swift party by Pat Shaw. Well done on Pat for, creating the initiative, taking the front foot, and not only doing it in the eCrit, but also out at the Shaw Cycle Centre. So today we're taking on the Classics course. We're doing 7 laps here on the London course, 44 kilometers in total. By now, you should know the course. We are about, I think this is the 11th. Is it the 11th or 12th? West edition of the eCrit, the Eastern eCrit.
We're up to the baker's dozen. We're on number 13 now.
We're up to 13. See, I've been gone for a week and I lose all consciousness, all sense of time. We're up to 13th. So the 13th race here in the Eastern eCrit series. It's 44 kilometers on the Classics course. They race this time and time again. We've seen Luke Savatsky take a long sprint. We've seen Pat Shaw take a long sprint. We've seen Luke Ockerby come back on the line. We've seen Aaron Dunn take this course. This course usually comes down to a sprint finish. There was that one time though where Troy Herfoss threw a spanner in the works, but where's Troy anyway, Wes? Troy used to tear up the series. Now he's gone.
Yeah, we've lost. He's gone back to racing his motorbike around. So he's taking part. I just had a look on Twitter just before, and he just said he was proud to be on his new SP2, his new motorbike. So Troy is getting amongst his moto racing. So he unfortunately can't join in the series because that is trying to race motorbikes around very, very fast. But he also can ride his bike virtually around this course very, very fast. And we've seen that a number of times. He's very, very aggressive. So you can't see him here race around, but he's doing his other job. But it's really good to have him part of this Zwift community. And I'm sure that when he can, he'll jump back in the series.
Troy sure rides his bike like it was motorized. That guy that engine never runs out of steam. That keeps on going, keeps on going. Troy Herfoss, of course, making the jump to the MotoGP world. He is back-to-back MotoGP champion down in Australia. So, of course, that's his main focus. But I'm sure he'll be back. He is a competitor at heart. And when we spoke to him in Sydney, he said, eCrit right now, it's just sucked me in. Like the whole field, the camaraderie, the level of competition, it's just so much fun to tune in every Tuesday evening and get that 1 hour of high intensity workout in the legs. As we are about to approach the first lap of 7 out on course, still all together. The pack is fairly compact still. The pace not too high with Ju Jin at the front here, about to change that as he's out of the saddle. And actually it's Tweedy at 8 watts per kilogram, and Ju Jin is sitting in the wheel here, and they're trying to break things up early out on course. Wes, you are the proud owner and team manager of the Wolfpack Task Team. Can you share some insight on what's the Wolfpack's overall goal today? What's the strategy coming into today's race?
Well, I think obviously Dunn's out there, high points. All he needs to do really is just keep finishing in the pack here. We're done, picking up a few points at a time. So I'd say that the other guys with the Wolfpack could like to creep up the points a little bit because it is pretty wrapped up there with Dunn so far ahead. So the other guys in the team sort of probably want to sneak with some results, probably go in some of these moves. And I did call out last week, Gentleman Jim having a bit of a dig. And looks like he's on the front there, right up the front. So he was sitting earlier in the series sort of in the bunch, but now he seems to, with that name call out, I think he's lifted another notch and getting right up there amongst it.
Gentleman Jim, one of those riders that has showed up for pretty much every single stage every single round since like round 3 or 4 when we started doing these broadcasts. It was good to build this bond with the racers out on course. They listen to us, and we grow bigger as they grow bigger, as we've seen with John O'Bates over in the Western eCrit, which takes place later today over on Zwift Community Live. But the storylines that, emerge from all this racing is just fantastic, and it's so awesome to be a part of this and watching as O. Jones goes on to the attack. I was mentioning to Wes earlier before the broadcast went on that Oliver Jones is just such an inspiration. This kid out of New Zealand, I believe he's 20 years old. He continues to race. He continues to do well. But because he's from New Zealand, he's actually not valid. He's not qualified to gain points. But that doesn't matter, Wes. He's getting in the workout.
Yeah, no, that doesn't matter at all. In a really good workout, and he's showing that he wants to show everyone that he does have these legs, that he can just keep going. He just keeps doing these really, really strong attacks, and if he decides to go with him, and this could be a benefit to someone else with through the series here, because I did say earlier that if Jones rides really aggressive, then some of these other guys can jump on that wheel and get away with him here, and he's prepared to work with him. He's one of those riders that doesn't, when you do see him get in the break here, he really on with it. So no one's sort of looking back in the bunch here, and everyone's sort of staying compacto there. So no one's looking to come across to him. But like I said, if someone that's down on the points could really get away here, that is a strong rider also, then they could work together and try and distance themselves from the pack.
Ooh, Pat Shaw popping that aero power up to try and bridge across. He realizes the danger of this move, and Aaron Dunn is one to match the attack of Pat Shaw, kicking up to 12 watts per kilogram. Anthony Vegan Porsche aware to the task, trying to bridge down that gap. But now everyone is starting to panic. If there are two riders you do not want up the road, three riders, it's Oliver Jones, Pat Shaw, and Aaron Dunn. They've got a 5-second gap now, as we've got Richard out of Innovation Cycling trying to bring it back. We've got a rider here from physio.com.au also trying to bring it back with Luke Ockerby on the back. But before that wattage bazooka from Pat Shaw, I was going to mention that there's a certain grace over Oliver Jones. Like, he kind of, flies like a butterfly, stings like a bee. Not only because he's wearing that bumblebee outfit, but Oliver Jones, he's just so... when he's out there riding, he really rarely takes a pedal stroke the wrong way. And I know we're on Zwift, and it's not really possible to pedal squares, but this man is always in the right position. He's always on top of his heart rate, and he always finishes top 5. This man, I wish there was a New Zealand eCrit, because this man would destroy the field.
And we did see his heart rate was quite high there, Jasper. He was up at that 185, a little bit over 185, up to that 187 beats. So he's certainly stressing himself, really feeding it some chain. So we see, who's this going over the top here? Tweedy.
A newcomer
and
to the racing series.
And Tweedy's laying the smackdown. I'm new to the scene. Yeah, I haven't seen this name Tweedy out there before. So unless he's changed names from previously, but Tweedy is really feeding it some chain now, going low, looking for someone to come across to him so we can start working together.
His heart rate is at 153 while putting out 6 watts per kilogram. This man is flying today. Earlier in the race, he was trying to break things up with Zhu Jin when they both went off the front. Then they're both caught, settled back down, went to the back of the pack, and now he attacks again. But he's sitting at 8 to... Who is S. Tweedy? This is the mystery. The man, the myth, the legend. 9 watts per kilogram at 150 beats per minute. Somebody give this man a pro contract. He is flying, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody ring up Matt White. I think Orica Scott may just have a new star rider. What's happening, Wes?
152 beats. He's got quite a low heart rate for that amount of pressure on the pedals there. 500 watts. And he seems to be holding above that, dropping back down now. But I don't know if that heart rate monitor is working correctly, because, yeah, that he hasn't really moved off that 150 beats. And I'd hope that his heart rate would move higher than that.
Somebody get the DeVault drill. What is happening here? Let me just do a quick search on Tweedy to see his past records over on SwiftPower.com. He actually doesn't have any previous race results compared to this. Tweedy's off the front, but 7.8, 8 watts per kilogram for about 3 minutes. This is when you apply for the eCrit series by KISS and Zwift Community Live, you open yourself up to verification by Zwift Anti-Doping Agency, also known as SADA. And that is to, maintain the integrity of the race. I'm not saying what Tweedy is putting out is not humanly possible, but to quote Michael Ferrari, if you can hold 6.7 watts per kilogram for a certain period of time, you can win the tour. Tweedy's doing that right now, so Tweedy might just get a knock on the door, and there might be peeing the cup time right after this race. Back in the peloton, Zhu Jin is trying to bridge across with Ockerby going on. How do you go from here, Wes? What's the next logical move for the pack?
Yeah, so we'd see Gentleman Jim up the front of that pack too, doing a bit of chasing, and Zhu Jin, we don't really want to let him go too far away, so you really want to to grab on the back of Drew Gin, because once he gets a gap, he just keeps going with it. So we do see the group just sort of looking at each other now. We probably see some more fireworks and people want to go here. The Wolfpack crew probably will launch one soon. See it all sort of grouping back together here, probably waiting for those, we're sort of weighing it up whether they use those power-ups to go with this move now.
Drew Gin now caught in no man's land, but that's where he likes to be the most, in between the front group and the peloton, and just trying to assess the situation and plan his next move. He is quite the strategist out on course. The peloton, though, has shrunk down now due to the excessive attacks from Pat Shaw, Drew Gin, from Mr. Tweedy out there in front. The next, Lance Armstrong. Got Anthony Vegan Porsche, Jeffrey Keel in the middle of the pack, Luke Savatsky, Michael Elias, just trying to get an overview of the situation in the pack right now. It does look like Pat Law has been shot out the back. Paulie's still sitting in here. Leonard is sitting in here. And 50 minutes into the racing, it has been fast-paced so far.
Pretty quick, yeah. We're 12k in, and the pace hasn't let up. These riders, if we look around when you're clicking through the heart rate, some high heart rates in that bunch. So they're working pretty hard here, and everyone's sort of doing a bit of foxing now. They're eased up a little bit here, but they're still holding a reasonable pace there at watts a kilo, so it hasn't come completely off here. But Tweedy is really laying the hammer down. So Tweedy, I have no idea where Tweedy's come from, but Tweedy certainly has the power and the light. And hopefully we see some moves going soon, because this gap, as it starts to go out, Drew Gin, you give him that little sniff there, and it's going to be very hard to get him back, especially if he gets on the back of Tweedy.
I think there's a collective agreement in the pack right now to let Tweedy go. Tweedy is like 20 seconds up the road right now, I do believe. And I think the pack has just come to the conclusion that we're going to wait for the verification of SAT. This is actually the first time this has come into play of the 13 rounds in the eCrit series. But after this race, he might just get a knock at the door. And the riders, they realize that, because these riders cannot sustain 6.7 watts per kilogram. A friend of mine spoke with Tish Benoit following the Tour de France stage the other day, where he was in the breakaway and he was flying up Mont du Chat. He only averaged 5.5 up Mont du Chat. That's just putting in perspective the efforts being put out and the riders out on course, and what you can expect these riders to put out for 1 hour full eCrit racing on their turbo trainer right here on Zwift. You know, I'm gonna catch you out earlier today, Wes. Usually we wait to the very end of the race to try and get a prediction in, but we're gonna see how your pundit skills are today when you're facing a challenge. Pack is about 20 riders strong. You can pick any way you want, anyone you want. Who do you think is gonna win today's stage here in the eCrit series?
I'm going to give Tom Aliff a shout out. Tom Aliff, he's from Tassie also. Come into the series late. Strong rider, very strong rollist, and has a decent punch on him. So we'll give him a bit of a shout out.
Nice shout out right there. Newcomer to the eCrit series. Always great to get riders on. If you want to be involved in the eCrit series, right about now is the time to jump on, as we are running out of races. We're halfway through July, meaning we've got 6 or 7 races left to go, 20 races in total I think it is. So only about 140 points left for grabs. So you better get on that turbo trainer and start racing right now. I personally think I'm on him right now. Pat Shaw is the man to beat. He is the easy choice. He's the very easy choice to pick out of the pack. He's just been fire lately in the eCrit series, but if you want a pick out of left field, I think we're going to have to go... Can you even consider Ockerby a pick out of left field anymore, Wes? How he's established himself as one of the dominant sprinters?
I don't think so. With that power he's putting out and holding in those sprints, I don't think he's no longer an outsider. He is one of the men to beat. I guess your main outsider probably out of this pack, and the underdog would have to be Gentleman Jim at this stage.
Gentleman Jim, the outside. Yes, everyone loves a good side bet. And Gentleman Jim, today we're going to whip you into motion. You heard it here. The action, the call to action from Wes and Jesper live here on the Go Zwift Facebook page. Best of luck. Coach De Jager out in the front now, setting the pace with Luke Savatsky, a great sprinter. Ockerby up there as well. Damo Hassan, a rider who's yet to have his breakthrough here in the eCrit series. Time and time again, he's been up there near the front. We've said good things about him, but he's yet to make that final jump up onto the podium. He's been struggling when it comes down to the pointy end of affairs. Maybe today will be the day that changes Looking further down, we got Jeffrey Keel and Anthony Vegan Porsche for Team Vision, both racing out of Team Vision, of course, as I mentioned. We've got Drew Jim back here. We've got Hope. Tweety is back in the pack now. Tweety has actually been caught and is back in the pack, sitting at 5 watts per kilo. Maybe that effort caught back up with him. Eric Dunn is sitting in here. We've got Polly, Hatart, this is Richards, and that's about it of the main pack, as we're almost halfway through today's eCrit stage out on course. Now, we've seen
Sorry, I did S. Johnson in there. So S. Johnson, is that, if you click over there, is that Shannon Johnson? Because Shannon Johnson is quite a fast sprinter. So she's raced through the NRS series. Super quick sprinter. So I did see his name probably a couple of weeks back in the mix. But if that is Shannon Johnson, that's Shannon Johnson, a fast finisher. So interested to see whether they can transfer that power across into this eCrit series.
I'm taking a look over on Zwift Community Live, over on SwiftPower.com right now to confirm whether or not that is him. So, taking a look, it is Shane Johnson out of Australia. Is that who you thought it was?
No, Shannon I was looking for, Shannon Johnson. But shout out to Shane Johnson. You could be a very fast sprinter as well, so we'll put you in the mix as well. You're up there with Gentleman Jim. You're an outsider, Shane Johnson, but get up there in amongst it. He's up around that 179 heart rate, 180. Holding it around that 80 RPM, just drop down the 70s. So try and keep that cadence up there, Shane, and get amongst it here at the eCrit series.
Why should he keep the cadence up? Why not just ride at 75 RPM if he finds that comfortable, Coach Wes?
Well, if you lift a weight that's quite heavy, you can only do it so many times. If you lift a weight that's a lot less, you can do it more and more and more. So the same goes with your legs. You can't keep grinding the gears away. Eventually, something's got to give, and that's usually the legs. So you're better off to spin to win with Froome and the guys in the Tour de France. They really use that high cadence. You don't have to be excessive about it, but you don't want to be down in that strength endurance range. You're dropping under sort of, if you're getting down in those 70 mark, you're starting to use a little bit more of the muscle, and you're not using the aerobic system as well as you could. But saying that, if the fitness isn't quite there, you will tend to come down in the cadence. Naturally, you won't be able to hold that cadence. So whatever works for everyone, different method there, but that's my take on it.
So of course, Wesley Salzberger is now head of en route coaching down in Tasmania. He is. You're in touch with a few of the riders in the eCrit series, trying to help them boost their performance in the best possible way here to try and project themselves to the very top of the leaderboards. If you were to give up some advice for these races, how would you improve their performance in the quickest possible way? Legalized way, of course.
In the possible way. Would probably just be consistency. Keep showing up in the eCrit series, because you never know what can happen, especially if you might find yourself out of the race, But if you still finish off each one of these, I think there's points for the top 20 if I'm right, if that's right, Jasper. So push on every race. If you're not don't get demoralized. That's the biggest thing that I think that people could take out of this series. If you're getting dropped 1 week. Don't set that as your tone week. It's a new race, new day. Put your head back on, and don't get too psyched out by the eCrit series. Get amongst it, enjoy the racing, and show up each week, and hopefully that form will come.
There you have the Paniagua tip of the day by Wesley Salzberger of En Route Coaching. Jujin on the front, setting down the pace at 5 watts per kilogram. It's slowed down now earlier in the race than I really expected to. 18 kilometers of racing done. It's funny, we've been following this race for a good 2 to 3 months now, Wes, and we've kind of seen a progression in the race, how it's changed, as I think that's actually Pat Shaw going on to the attack again at the front. But early on, we had Cameron Roberts, we had Troy Herfoss, the duo from down under, go on the front, attacking again and again and again. They then kind of left the race, which made it into a sprinter's race, and now with the addition of Pat Shaw, the race has seen another turn. We've gone through so many different renditions of the eCrit series that live finale is going to be quite unpredictable, don't you think?
It is, definitely. And Pat Shaw also is quite a fast finisher, but also quite a strong rider. So he can win from either scenario. So he can sprint finish, or he can win in an attack solo like this. So Pat Shaw has got that power there, and like we saw when he first come on this series and shook the legs a little bit, way to lay down that power. And like I said to you, Jasper, I think he was using that as a little bit of a form finder and do a bit of training with this series, but then come around Pat, got back in the bunch, and actually one of these sprints off at 550 meters, I think he hit out with the power up and held on all the way to the line. So he's certainly very, very strong and very confident in. So that's really one of the main things is here also is to back yourself for that win. You know, you can get in there amongst it and follow the wheels, but you really need to back yourself to.
Yeah, you gotta act like you belong. That's the main thing. Have the confidence of a sprinter to, you know, butt shoulders. Not as much as Sagan did, but still keep yourself in a nice position and go for the sprint finish. Oh man.
Yeah, well, it's quite good that the sprint finishes are very, very clean on. I think you know I think everyone would be very happy with how clean the sprints are. You know, there's no tussling. It's a very, very clean sprint on Zwift.
I mean, as a commissioner, I would say I've been pretty fair so far. I have seen people crash off their trainer doing a sprint. I'm not looking anywhere but myself. I've actually myself managed to crash off a trainer, but hey, anything can happen out on course when you're racing Zwift. But yeah, how would you feel, Wes, if John Mayfield, the creator of the software, the creator of Zwift, were to add like a throw the elbow maneuver or kick, or like, you know, the old school days of like Nintendo games where you could like kick people?
to give a bit of rough and well, you can flick the elbow there, so you could almost do a little bit of a Sagan up beside someone. So
could you imagine sprinting and then somebody's
be interesting to see
when
I reckon you'd have to probably get a little bit of support there from either one of you, if you're a family man, if you get one of your kids to flick the elbow while you're doing the sprint, or your wife's there and she's pushing the button on so you can sprint and flick the elbow at the same time.
Oh god, it'll turn into like demolition derby going into the sprint finish. You see riders left, right, and center over the bars. Oh god, one can wish.
Jasper, that's the new thing for tonight is who else is who's watching you while you're racing in your experience? Is anyone else watching you, or are you solo? Do your kids get involved? Do your family get involved? Send us in a photo to the Oz Zwift page. If you've got a bit of fan support, if you've got your getting you drink bottles, getting you nice cold ones out of the fridge, someone's bringing you a Coke that last part of the race. What's happening? Is anyone else involved? Or are you solo? If you're solo, then send us you being solo and send us your setup. So what do you have? Do you have your cold drinks? Do you drink Coke, or what are you fueling yourself with as well? What are your preparations?
We'll start off by you, Wes. Who's bringing you your sneaky gel?
Me, I'm all set up because I'm in my lounge room here. So I've made sure I've got myself a cup of tea. I did have a little bit of dark chocolate before next to me, but that soon disappeared. So I'm up now.
Oh man, see, I used to have the luxury of having two luxury domestiques named Sabrina and Helena, my two sisters. All I would do is yell as loud as I could, and they'd come running down the stairs with a bottle or some sort of sugary, you know, deluxe to get myself going in a sprint finish. And yes, that has happened a few times, and it makes racing so much better when you can share that, you know, experience, that the way of expressing yourself with other people. It's just so rewarding. I'm sure when we see all the posts over on Zwift Oz, it's going to be a lot of the same. I'm expecting some dog pictures, you know? Somebody racing and their dog is looking up going, "What are you doing? You're not getting anywhere." Man.
So just giving a bit of a hello to the people across Xbox watching us too, because we're broadcast across a few different streams. So any of the gamers in there watching this as well, like these aren't just avatars racing around. They are by actual people and humans. Oh, look, Jasper's control. Who are you controlling on the front there, Jasper?
I'd say Pat Shaw.
Each one of these people is hooked up. Everyone's hooked up to their smart trainer, so they all have a stationary bike set up either in their garage or somewhere in their house, and they're giving it everything they've got, feeding it some chain. So all pedal powered here, so it's not just avatars racing around. There's people behind this and on their bikes, and they're really having a race here tonight.
They're really having a race here tonight. They're burning, what, like 2,000 calories? 700, 1,700 calories? What would you say, Wes? How many calories did they get burned?
Yeah, it'd be a few burgers, I reckon, that'd be burned off tonight. And certainly with the pace being so high early on, these riders will be looking at refueling after this. Probably won't be for at least an hour after it, because they'll probably be a little bit lightheaded and feel a bit giddy. But after that, I'm sure they'll get some energy back into them, get a bit of nutrients back into them. And it'll be interesting to know who is refueling. Are they solo? Are they doing it all on their own? So send your photos in. If you've got your support crew, let us know who it is. Send it into Zwift Oz Facebook page, and we'd love to see what's going on.
Let us know who's your Mavic neutral service. We'd love to see him. We'd love to honor.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. Who's your neutral service? Yeah, perfect.
O. Jones, once again. Oliver off the front, 5-second gap now, maintaining about 400 watts out on course at 5.1 watts per kilo. Back in the pack, we've got Johnson bringing it back, Jager bringing it back. Still all together as we are over halfway through the race now, with about 3 laps to go left out on course. I do believe that is it. So we'll see the riders. They're going to be racing. They're going to be looking out for each other. So far, so good for the sprinters. They've not had to exert too much energy, and they're still looking good for that sprint finish finale. But looking at the pack, I don't see that many riders from the same team. I don't see that many unison colors out on course. It looks like WP Taz is down a few riders. It looks like Aussie Hunt Day ride is down to perhaps 2 riders. So this is one of the things the Australian scene is yet to really develop, is the sense of teams. If you look over on the Europe scene, you have 8 to 10 riders from each team showing up, and you've got this peloton formed. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, wide open for these outsiders and these people that are coming to the series to try and maneuver or take a little bit of a flyer here. I am surprised at knowing Jones. I must say that no one is following Jones and keeping on his wheel. You know, if I was one of those riders in there after points and having a bit of a crack, I'd be on his wheel, just following around, waiting for him to go with him. Anyway, back to what you were saying, Jasper. Yeah, it does leave it open here. We don't see as much of a team sort of play tonight. It's a little bit like a washing machine and haymaker attacks, but we haven't seen an actual team have to ride or commit here. So it is a bit of a washing machine tonight. So I reckon these riders will be looking, especially those out, looking to try and grab some points here. Like I said, there's still 140 points odd left. So there's still time to jump into that top 10 to top 5 if you've got the legs.
Think about a washing machine though. When you mix pink and white, it doesn't already go that. It doesn't always go that well. So we're gonna see there's gonna be some rivalry going on in the washing machine tonight as riders are going off one by one on the front here. Oliver Jones off the front. Somebody, I mean, I think a lot of these riders are racing not to lose the eCrit. At least that's a common consensus I'm getting from a lot of these riders. They're racing not to lose. Is that the correct mindset going into a long stage race like this?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you've already got the points, and you could be a little bit guarded about it. You don't have to be as aggressive. You know, someone like Dunn doesn't have to be as aggressive now with that huge lead he has. But yeah, I do feel that some of the riders probably should take a little bit more of a risk, especially if they're looking to jump inside that top 10 to try and follow some of these moves. You know, and you know, like I said, Jones, and no one is marking Jones. Jones is aggressive and wants to go away with this. You know, if I was racing this race myself, I'd be following him if I definitely wanted to move up points.
Well, it's easy for us to say as we're a bunch of couch potatoes sitting here with our caps on, you know, playing Budweiser. But hey, for the overall consensus, I would agree with you that some of these riders further down, if they have real intentions of hitting up Melbourne in September, they've got to throw everything they've got out of the window and just hope that something survives at the end of the stage. That's really what they've got to do now, because if they bring this prac to the sprint finish, Ockerby's going to be there, Savatsky's going to be there, Pat Shaw's going to be there. That's the first 3 spots of the podium just gone. So you need to find some way to catch them off guard. But it's not an easy task, considering Drew Jen can average, what, 5.2 watts per kilo. Pat Shaw can probably put out 5 watts per kilo. Looking further down, Savatsky, Dunn, they can follow the breakaways. Like, you really got to have a mix of brains and the power in the legs to pull one over on the rest of these guys, because they're all awake and ready for the task at hand.
Yeah, we see Jones back in the peloton. He's just come back. He sort of shook the legs out there. I was hoping that someone would come across I don't know. It's just Jones still away there. He's just coming back now. The peloton looks like they're going to skype up. It looks like he's backed off the power a little bit there, back down to that 4 watts a kilo. He was getting towards that high 5 watts a kilo, so he's backed it off now. And is that a passenger out beside him there, or is that someone in the race there, Jasper?
That is a Chinese rider who's about 15 years old, I think that says, out in front. But, of course, other racers of other nationalities can enter the race, but they cannot qualify for the points at the finish line. As I think that's gentleman Jim. Now, Jim and Dunn, they heard the slack being thrown out by Coach Wes, and they're now attacking off the front. Aaron Dunn is done being conservative, and he is now attacking off the front.
He has done being conservative. I love the pun. That's great. Dunn is out there in amongst it now, and like I said, he doesn't even need to do this or be aggressive, but he just wants to shake down the leg, test people out maybe, and then see if anyone wants to go on with him.
Funny enough, so about 3 weeks ago, Wes called out to see these riders' setups over on the Zwift Ops page, and Aaron Dunn was actually one of the riders who did this, and in doing so, he actually won himself 2 Zwift water bottles. So now, he's going to be racing Zwift-powered on the Zwift race in the eCrit series. So, I mean, by making risks like this, you get yourself a bit of a prize, a bit of a water at the end, and that's coming your way very soon, Aaron Dunn. That was shipped yesterday, so look out for that in the mail. But Aaron Dunn attacking off the front. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got action with 15 kilometers to go. Still, though, it's all together again.
It's all together, but I don't think Dunn is done yet. He's going to be up there at the end. He's going to make sure that he shows his legs. He's going to shake them out again. Ockerby's obviously strong. He's right up there at the front there. I reckon he's probably making sure that no one goes here or tries to sneak away. That's a real danger there. So Ockerby's doing a little bit of police there. You know, got his head up, looking around, doing a bit of meerkat, sort of making sure that no one's going to get away here. That's going to take any sort of gain and make sure that they don't.
I just want to say, Wes, we've been doing this for so long now that your humor is rubbing off on me. That dad humor, that very, flat pun-ish. Oh my goodness, this is not good for either of us, man. Whew. Next thing I know, your music taste will rub off.
I don't even know what you're talking about. That is just me in a nutshell. I'm just playing it how I say it. So I'm not trying to put it on. This is just me in general here. I'm full of dad jokes. I've got plenty of them qualified, so I'm going to use them up. So we see Dunn come to the front again here now. So Dunn's still just shaking those legs out, seeing who's around, making sure, playing a bit of policeman maybe for Ockerby, making sure that no one's going to try and get away here because, they do know that Ockerby has a fast finish on him there, and Ockerby can move up those points. So he was probably the main man for the Wolfpack crew. I think we've only got Ockerby and Dunn left of the Wolfpack crew in there tonight. Is that right?
Looks like
I think we have. Is there one more? Yeah. We do also have Tom Aliff who's in there. He's I don't think he's got his name as a Wolfpack crew, but we'll try and fix that up. He's also from Tasmania. No, we'll suss that out for next week and get him hooked up. But I did give him a call out as the outsider, as well as Gentleman Jim, Tom Aliff, getting in up there among. And last week he got right up there and amongst it early on, and then got caught out and got with that split. He was back with Vegan Porsche. But Vegan Porsche and Tom Aliff mixed there tonight, making sure they're keeping up there close to the front. And if I was either one of those two, I'd be following Jones.
Oh, man. So for anyone out there that's watched the Backstage Pass, I'm kind of feeling a relationship between Aaron Dunn and Ockerby like Matthew Heyman and Esteban Chavez. You've got Aaron Dunn being like, come here, Ockerby. I will guide you to the finish line. Come here. I'll teach you the ways. Because Aaron Dunn is already at the top of his game. He's won Paris-Roubaix, and now he's showing Luke Ockerby, Esteban Chavez, how to do things. Is that pretty spot on?
That's pretty spot on, yeah. Dunn's come through, and he's taken Ockerby under the wing. But Ockerby in his own right is, like I said, quite a fast and strong rider. So he's come through the track background, so he's quite quick already. And he's been honing that training in local velodrome here in Launceston in Tasmania. So he's been sharpening up more and more for this eCrit series. So yeah, I reckon we will see Ockerby. Probably is definitely, I'd say, out of this group, he has to be the man to beat tonight if it comes down to that kick.
So Akubi took his kicker to the velodrome, set it up there, and that's velodrome training for the eCrit series? Is that what you're saying?
He busted out on his track bike, so he was doing the Uran. He had the one gear, and he was riding around the velodrome.
Next you know it, they'll go to altitude camp and they'll bring the kicker and they won't go outside at all. Altitude camp, right there. We've got
well, you could do. Well, I know that a few of the other guys do that also with the altitude machine and the smart trainers using their altitude machines with the smart trainer. So you can do a altitude home indoors.
Oh God, is that one of those like breathing machines you put over your face so it simulates like high altitude air?
Yeah. Like, you look a little bit like Darth Vader doing that. It's a horrible feeling, but you can get I've used it before, and I've used it not really for. Oh, I guess it was for training purposes, but I've used it to adapt before going to altitude for a training camp. So for a couple of weeks out from the training camp, I off and on, and then for training. So then I make sure I start to adapt. So that way, when you go up to altitude, you're not losing that week of adaptation. You can go straight in and start training. So it is quite handy using the machine that way to adapt, ready for a training camp at altitude.
I've heard it's like breathing out of a straw. That doesn't sound very comfortable, by the way.
No, it's not. And I think by the end of tonight, it'll feel like this for this eCrit races. They'll be really sucking the air in and pushing that air out as well. So that full-on time trial breath going there, that rounded tunnel sort of mouth going. And I reckon I'd love to see some footage of these people giving that sprint. So that's going to be another shout-out. Or maybe we'll leave that for next week to try and get some footage of these sprints at the end.
So next week you get your son to take a picture of you sprinting or a video of you sprinting. There you go. That's combining the two.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was going to say we'll bring in the Mavic service if they have a phone on them as well as spare wheels and bottles to take a video or a photo of their sprint finish at the end. That would be pretty cool to see. Drew Jin now going on the attack here, Joe.
I know, Drew Jin, with 10 kilometers to go, 2 laps left of racing in the 13th round here in the Eastern eCrit Series. He's attacking off the front, but without success here as we got riders back him up left, right, and center. But I'm sure this was not Drew Jin's last attack because it's really not the optimal place on this course to go into the attack. There are 2 places where you can break up the pack, and we've seen it happen already twice or 3 times even today. It's on the false flat when you exit the red roads, and it's on that incline of Trafalgar Square. Those are the 2 action points. Anywhere else on this course, the rest of the peloton has got to be sleeping. Like, they got to be napping almost in order to actually drop them and get away. It's just that difficult on Zwift right now with how the algorithm works to attack on downhill sections or flatter sections. 2 laps to go now. Are you sticking by your picks of Aleph in this race?
Yep, Tom Aleph, he's still in there. Gentleman Jim is still in there as well. They're both just circling around. They should be following that Jones's wheel there, that Bumblebee outfit. Look for that yellow Bumblebee outfit if I was either of those 2. Follow Jones. Jones is going to go for the doctor. I reckon Jones is going to do that. I reckon certainly he'll be the one to watch to do that first move, and whether someone can go over the top of that and carry on with the move, that'll be the next story.
See, I was going to say that Jones is going to swing for the fences, but since it's an Australian eCrit, what's it called in AFL when the guy shoots the ball through the things? What is that called? You know what?
A goal?
Is that just called a goal?
A goal?
It's not called a try like in rugby or whatever?
Mate. Yeah, go. No, in AFL it's called a goal. So you kick a goal. Kicking goals, mate.
So Oliver Jones is going to be kicking a goal today is what I was going to say.
Well, if he does fall short, then he's gonna kick a point. So you've got that middle goal for the 2 poles in the middle, and the outside is a point. And then if you miss all that altogether, then you're called kicking it out on the full. So then you haven't done anything, and it goes to the opposite side of the team, and they get to kick it back in.
I'd just like to apologize.
So don't
to all
kick it out on the
Australians
full
out there, by the way.
Goal.
I just like to apologize. That was so bad. That fell so flat like a 5-month-old Coke. But anyway, it's time to bring out the Zwiftophone, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see who you think is going to win today's stage here in the eCrit series. You're watching over on Zwift Facebook, you're watching on Xbox, or wherever you're watching in the world. Get out the Zwift mobile link app on your phone. Find the rider you think is going to win, or the rider you're supporting. Maybe you are the designated Mavic service neutral car for one of these riders. Time to get out your phone and let it rain ride-ons. That's how you show your support, and it works like that sneaky gel. They've been racing for 45 minutes. I can promise you right now, they're feeling it in the legs, they're feeling it in the lungs, they're feeling it up here on the upper stage. Now, it's the time to give them a ride on. It's going to give them a breath of fresh air, and we'll see what's going to happen now. So we've got just under 10 kilometers to go, and it's all still together at the front. Who's going to be the first one to launch it? Tweedy is moving up the front now.
Yeah, Tweedy. So it'd be interesting to see whether Tweedy's going to hold that 6 to 7 watts a kilo here. If he can, then someone should try and wheel there, see if they can drop under that 5 watts a kilo with the sit. I think Jones is the man who's going to take the flyer. He's sitting up there in that Bumblebee Quid, sitting around that top 5 or 6 there, and I think Jones will take that flyer. Vegan Porsche now we see back there starting to move up. Everyone's starting to jostle forward. Jim's starting to move up now. Kay Simpson, we see some riders in there. Also some other names that we haven't seen. Shane Johnson is up there also. So everyone in the mix there. Jones is right at the front now, and he's looking good at the 169 beats, the 84, 85 cadence. So Jones is looking pretty, and he's feeling good.
I think he's going to take his Transformers Bumblebee and he's going to turn it into battle mode in just a second, and he's going to attack off the front. He's looking like he's ready to do it now as he's sitting 5th or 6th wheel. We got Anthony Vegan Porsche, as you mentioned, sitting in 3rd wheel as well. He sent me that angry text message earlier going, Jesper, I'm not feeling today, mate. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it because it's my job, but I'm not happy about it, just letting you know. So we'll see if that anger can be turned into power, excess power. He's yet to have that breakthrough. Anthony Vegan Porsche, one of the nicest guys here in the peloton. He's been racing since day 1, and he has still yet to win an eCrit race. 13 races, he skipped 1, 12 races in a row. We'll see if Anthony Vegan Porsche can take it 2 steps up. I would be very, very pleased to see my good friend Anthony Vegan Porsche make it 2 steps up. But it's going to be difficult, though, as the level playing field here is not level. Some riders are stronger, some riders are weaker.
Coach Aiden. Yeah, Coach Aiden is in there as well. And we did see Coach Aiden take some flyers and be quite aggressive towards the end of some of the other eCrit series races. So, and he has got a bit of power behind those legs. Tweedy run again here. He's gone solo, and he's dragged. Who's he dragged with him there?
It's
Tom
Anthony
Aliff's up
Porsche.
the front there, right up behind. Vegan Porsche, Aliff. Sif is getting right up there and amongst it. And I did get that name call out to Aliff. He is quite a strong time trialer, so you want to try and get a gap and hold it if you can. There goes Coach Aiden, as the call out did before, and now he's going on with a 2-second gap. So we see him out there in front.
He's ditched the helmet.
He's ditched the helmet. He's gone aero.
He's old school style.
He's gone aero.
Oh God, Lance Armstrong the other day on this podcast said that riders nowadays should ditch the helmet because it makes for better publicity value. What about just surviving? Like, imagine if you're Richie Porte and you didn't have a helmet. Just saying, guys, even on Zwift, wear your helmet. So Coach Aiden off the front now, 5 watts per kilogram. He's got a 5-second gap now with 8 kilometers left, 7 kilometers left of racing. It's going to be a tough gap to maintain, but at 400 watts, Coach Jager is now off the front with Åkerby, Savatsky, and Aliff. Fearing this a tiny bit. I'm liking how the rest of the pack is making Åkerby and Savatsky do the pulling at the front, because they're obviously 2 of the really strong sprinters in this pack now, and the rest are saying, we don't care if he's off the front, we're just going to sit in and we're going to try to defend our positioning in the pack and maybe get ready for one big flyer. And it's been a while since Pat Shaw has done one. Do you think he's packing an aero power up or something to boost his way off the front?
Yeah, we will see Pat Shaw timing those power-ups, and we're interested to know whether people have been saving those power-ups. We didn't see too many people go on the attack and use up any when they didn't need to. I have a bit of live feed here that Mark Cavendish is out on course. So Mark Cavendish is out on course riding around here. So it's not the fake Mark Cavendish. It's got the pick on course there. So Mark Cavendish is out there. He's getting a little bit of a taster and a little bit of a look around the eCrit series and wondering whether he might join in for it. He knows he won't be eligible for points. interesting to know whether he could jump in this series. But Drew Gin now is taking none of that. He said Cavendish isn't joining this pack. I'm going to take it on now. I'm going to go out in front. Cavendish has got nothing on, and here he goes. He's forcing that power up, and his heart rate's come up there to 170 beats, 380, 400 watts here, holding above that now, 86 cadence. Getting that nice cadence there. Keep that cadence up there, Drew Gin. Good work. Keep on going with it here. We see the pack all bunched together, looking at each other, doing that shakedown. Who's going to take it up here? Pat Shaw is probably my pick to make the next move.
This is the signature gin and tonic move. Nice and spicy as he goes off the front here. Drew Gin now going underneath the final lap batter. Wes, my cowbell is out there on London Course. Do you have a bell near you? Ladies and gentlemen, the final lap out on course. 5K to go now. Drew Gin, 4 seconds off the front. Thank you very much, Wes. I can always count on you to have some sort of ringing device available at your hand. I'm very, very proud of you. You could be an excellent bell ringer one day, Wes, if the coaching career doesn't work out.
Thanks, mate. I try my best. I will probably get a. Oh, we've got a bit of mechanical there. I will make sure that we actually get a bell. But did try to get a bell. He ordered half a bell online, so he failed at that. So big fail for Jesper there. But we will get a real cowbell going. I think that would really add an element to the racing here. So leave that up to me, Jasper. You've had a go at it. I'll fix that up for next week.
Thank you very much, Wes. Thank you very much. Oh, man, I can't believe. That's a story for another day. You're going to have to tune in tomorrow, next Tuesday to hear all about that as we cover the failed cowbell story. That's about a month old now, me trying to gather a cowbell, but we'll let that one be. That is long gone. You've already forgotten it now. Drew Gin caught off the front. It looked like that didn't last too long now, as he's being brought back by Watson, by Tweedy now. Tweedy up to 6 watts per kilogram, 7 watts per kilogram, and now slowly ramping up the pace on the front now. Let's see, let's follow Tweedy for a while now. We know Tweedy maxes out at 150 beats per minute. He's got to. I mean, he can't really go much higher. So does that mean we've got Tweedy, maybe a 50-year-old gentleman out here on course, maxes out at 150 beats at 7 watts per kilogram? Let's see if he can actually pull this one off. Anthony Vegan Porsche, the rider, to follow down this move now, as they are almost halfway through the final lap. This is going to be interesting now. This is one of the bigger packs we've seen in quite a while out on course. About 25 to 30 riders, still all within a shot to win today's stage now, as Drew Gin is on the front, trying to catch back Tweedy, who is still maintaining a solid gap in the front of 2 seconds.
Tweedy's out there, and now we see that Tweedy's also going across to a Korean rider here, so he's going to try and... The pack looks like they're starting to close that gap now. It's only at 2 seconds. So Gentleman Jim's at the front. That call out, there's Gentleman Jim, the outsider of the race, is up, and good to see that he's chasing down Tweedy there. And we also see Shaw up the front there now also. Everyone's sort of grouping around now. Everything's back together, and I think we're going to see some more fireworks here. There's going to be some haymakers. Some outsider has to take that opportunity if they can. If there's that little ease up in pressure here, that's when they'll...
This is where you would do it. This is the first of 2 action points on the course. They're coming into a false flap. Up in the right corner, you're going to see it's going to go up to about 2 to 3% now in just a second. And this is where you can use the change the resistance in your smart trainer to just emulate that bit more wattage as you're tacking off the front now. This is where you can gain perhaps 200 to 300 extra watts into that surprise attacks. But it looks like everyone is still keeping their powder dry. We're going to turn left in a second, and we're going to head up Trafalgar Square. The last opportunity to thin out the peloton before a major sprint. Wes, I have not seen a pack as big as this in forever in the eCrit series. How is that going to come into play when we're nearing that sprint finish?
Yeah, we have got a big group here, but we don't have big numbers for the team side of things. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to play out, because we don't have that. Usually, if it is a bigger group, then we do have those, 2 to 3 from each team. But it seems, I think we've only got 2 of each, maybe, for most of the teams here. Vision made 3, so I think that it's going to be a bit of a. Everyone's probably going to be a bit of cat and mouse here, looking at each other. And if someone does sort of go, who is going to chase? That's the main thing. You haven't got those expendables there to chase those moves down. So that's where they're going to be really on the front foot here. And if I was any one of those team player Wolfpack crew, I'd be right at the front there and making sure that I'd be marking those moves and make sure it's no one dangerous. Like if Shaw goes, they need to be straight on him. So here we go. We see a bit of fight going here now, Joshua.
This is going to hurt, Wes, as they're now entering that 5% gradient in the front now. We've got riders all around the course now trying to attack off the front using the gradient, but it's simply not long enough or decisive enough for the break to be established here on course. Some riders will be spat out the back now due to the excessive pace up of that, but it's not enough to split the entire pack now. And we're coming down to a sprint finish. Pat Shaw, Hassan, Vegan, Savatsky, Ockerby, Dunn. Now, we've got, as you mentioned before, the teams. Dunn and Ockerby, you would expect them to do a similar lead out. So with 600, 700 meters to go, Dunn or Ockerby, whoever they're sprinting for, goes to the front and lays down the pace. And then the other rider is going to come around with about 400 to 300 meters to go now, as we've got one U-turn left and then 1.5 kilometers to go here. Man, who's got the skills, Wes, to jump the wheels and find the right lead out train here?
Yeah. And coming around this hairpin here, it's pretty on from here, so the pace doesn't ease up. So once they go around this hairpin now, I don't think the riders will freewheel on their trainers. They'll be pedaling right through that corner. And I think we're going to see this get wound out here. And Jones hasn't taken that fly hit. We see Tweedy go to the front again now and lift the pace. And we see Ockerby on that wheel now. So Ockerby's up there by himself. So Dunn must be further back there. So maybe they're sprinting for Dunn. But we're going to see some fireworks coming in under that K to go banner here. And we did see Pat those long sprints. And I don't think we've seen any power-ups go for the last lap and a half or 2 laps now. So everyone must have that power-up with that aero power-up.
Here's the first
Save
arrow.
to use it perfection.
It's
the first
Ollie
one
Jones.
is gone. Who is it?
It's Ollie
Jones.
Bumblebee, stinging like a bee, attacking off the front here with the aero power up, forcing everybody else to attack. This is going to be a mental sprint. 800 meters to go, and the aero power ups are already popping. They're going to have to hold 10 watts per kilo for almost 1 kilometer, West. This is going to be incredible. Ockerby and Dunn, WP task duo, but do not forget Linton Savatsky coming on the right here. Can he catch up to Ockerby? There are 2 men in between now. It's between Ockerby, Savatsky, Ockerby, Savatsky. It is
what a
gonna be
race!
Ockerby on the finish line. I do not think
Ockerby!
Savatsky has it. Oh, it's
Jones!
line.
Oh, Ockerby!
So what
That was
happened there?
Ockerby
Oliver
just-
Jones destroyed them, Wes. He forced everybody to go out early with 800 meters to go, and it played into the favor of Luke Ockerby.
We did see a 550-meter sprint, and I thought that was a long way to go. But then forcing it was 800 meters out. Everyone just had an absolute sprint from 800 to that sort of 400-500, and then a grovel to the line there. That was. I would love to see video footage of the people on their trainer doing that sprint, because that would be horrendous. Oh, there would have been some lactate flowing out of the eyeballs there. It was an awesome finish. Jones forcing everyone to go so early there. That has got to hurt, and Ockerby must be in some pain right now.
You know, the last 400 meters, I imagine every rider going like, oh, left, right, left. Oh, this is starting to hurt. Ignore the pain. Shut up, legs. Go. Oh, my goodness. What a race. Oliver Jones, thank you so much for animating that finish. Linton Savatsky, great spread. Luke Ockerby, Aaron Dunn, Pat Shaw, Jaeger, Vegan Porsche, everyone else that raced in today's race, thank you so much for making this interesting. My name has been Jesper Anker, joined by Wesley Salzberger, and if you want to see more of this, make sure to click that like button right here on the Go Zwift Facebook page to never miss another broadcast we're doing. In about an hour or so, we'll be live over on Zwift Community Live doing the Western eCrit with John O'Bage, with Ben Simpson, with Richard Gillis and Richard Cook and Rupert Walsh. Wes, feel free to take it away.
Thanks very much, everyone, for joining in. But to get your neutral service photos in, we want to see who's your neutral service. If you're solo, then send us in those photos to the Oz Zwift Facebook page. But thanks to everyone tonight. Great race by the races. Awesome finish. Jones stirring up at the end there. But we'll tune in next time for round 14.